Okay, last but not least is self-trust. So again, I could easily talk for a very long time about self-trust or any of these other pillars. But just to give you a bit of a feel, why is self-trust so important to our relationship with ourselves? I think in the absence of self-trust, it's very, very hard to not only trust in others, but I would argue more importantly, it's very hard to trust in our own resilience. And for me, this is really the kernel of self-trust that is the most rewarding is, and again, I'll speak from personal experience. I think in cultivating a relationship of self-trust within myself, I feel a level of peace around whatever might happen in my life. That's a big statement, but it's one that I do attribute to having a pretty solid foundation of self-trust. It's this sense of, I know that a lot of things aren't within my control, but I trust in my ability to navigate what life throws at me. And so I can be decisive and I can back myself and I can take steps in the direction of what I value, what I hope for, what is important to me, while also surrendering to, the unknown and the uncertainty and knowing that like a lot of stuff is not guaranteed. I can't guarantee that my relationship's going to work out. I can't guarantee that anything in my work or my business is going to go the way that I would hope or plan. But all of that being said and being true, I also trust that if and when something unexpected or something disappointing or something challenging arises, that I will have the tools and the resources and the support to deal with it. And so I think that having that kind of internal environment makes you not only more courageous, but far more resilient and much more at peace because you're not living in constant fear or anticipation of everything bad that could happen and trying desperately and wasting so much energy trying to prevent something bad from happening. Because I think a lot of us, particularly those who struggle with anxiety, do just end up spinning your wheels and expending so much energy on playing out every possible worst case scenario and then reverse engineering to try and prevent that from ever happening to this point where your whole life becomes about the thing that you don't want rather than pursuing the things that you do want with presence and confidence and optimism. So self-trust is so essential. And I think, again, it's all of these pillars of self that I've spoken about in today's episode. I think they feed off each other and they reinforce each other. So the more self-respect you build, the more self-trust you'll have. The more you have a really caring and attuned relationship with yourself, the more self-trust you'll have. And the more self-trust you have, the more you're going to do those other things as well, because they all fit together really neatly like puzzle pieces. And as you start to change the internal environment in one way, some of those older patterns around hustle and burnout and ignoring boundaries and approval seeking and people pleasing and not doing things that aren't comfortable for you just to make everyone else happy, those behaviors stop feeling compatible with the new internal environment that you're building. And so you get this sort of full system upgrade as you start, sowing the seeds of a healthier relationship with self. Some of those old behaviors that have felt like a fit in your current inner world may naturally just fall away as they stop being a match for where you're at and the kind of relationship that you're really cultivating with yourself.